Welcome to College Hockey Southwest Weekly. College Hockey Southwest Weekly is brought to you by Sprint, the best phones on the best network, a brighter future for all. By College Bar and Grill. Check out our new location on 740 South Mill Avenue in Tempe. By Behind the Mask, serving the Valley hockey community since 1994. By OxyPal, our chemical-free line of cleaning products gets the funk out of your equipment or your office. By M-Drive, energy, stamina, recovery. By the Ice Den Scottsdale, practice home of the Arizona Coyotes, also located in Chandler. College Hockey Southwest Weekly is a part of the IcetimeHockeySW.com network. Here are your hosts, Scott Strandy and Paul Hornstein.
Welcome in, college hockey fans in the desert Southwest, around the United States, Canada, China, Europe, anywhere else you can be listening to us on the podcast. Scott Strandy, live here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and my co-host, Paul Hornstein, live out on Long Island, New York. Paul, how are you this evening?
We're doing good, Scott. It's been a little bit of a crazy day.
What? Crazy days?
Yeah, well,
I don't know what you would ever talk about, Paul.
I don't. Let's just say there was a little incident at work that.
No, I don't want to hear.
Made me stay a little longer than I wanted to.
Oh my goodness!
Because the building was in lockdown, so.
Jeez.
It was.
Everybody okay? That's amazing.
Everybody except one person.
Oh my goodness! Serious?
No, but serious enough where they put the. Let's just say a kid had something on him that he shouldn't have had.
Oh boy!
And it went off. Just think Plaxico Burress.
Oh no! Oh no!
I don't know what other way to put it.
Yeah, well, that you need say nothing more, my friend. I'm glad everybody except him is safe then.
Well, he's okay too, but
okay,
it could have been worse, obviously. So
boy, absolutely. Okay, life in the 21st century. Well, we're in the hockey business, but I think it's appropriate that we start off with a little somber news with the tragic news on Sunday and the loss of 9 lives in a helicopter crash, which. Paul, it took me back instantly to 20 years ago when I lost what I could say was a friend in Payne Stewart. I was aspiring golf pro at the time. I was actually selling golf shafts at the U.S. Open in 1990, or at the Players Championship in 1996 when I met Payne Stewart for the first time. And then 3 years later, after he wins the U.S. Open, he's on an aircraft that they lost oxygen, basically, and the airplane traveled some 2.5 hours on autopilot before crashing into a field in South Dakota.
Yeah.
So when I heard this Sunday, it immediately brought me back into that terrible position, those terrible thoughts, and Kobe Bryant was an icon, no matter whether you liked basketball or not. That's what he was, and a heck of an athlete. So. I don't know how to say it any differently other than our prayers and everything are with the family of Kobe and his daughter Gigi and everybody else, the Altabellis. I mean, that's a baseball name, and you're a baseball guy. So
yeah, no.
I'm sure you felt that one.
Yeah, well, it's kind of. Listen, what's happened in my personal life, and
I do.
And I know that Bryant was the icon, and I know it's just the way the business works, and he got all the attention, but I probably spent 24 hours being like, can we talk about the other guy's family too? Because they're hurting just as much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I understand that's not realistic, and I understand that that's just kind of the place that I have been in, personally for the last 16 months. But, anytime something like that happens, no matter who it happens to, it's a tragedy. And, we don't know the whole story and what happened. And, if somebody finds out that it could have been averted, that's when people will get cranky and angry. And but there's a lot of people without some family members right now in an accident, not what you expect to have happen, because apparently Bryant took helicopters all the time. So I don't know. But, it was a tragic moment for a lot of people. And, basically 2 days before the anniversary of the Challenger exploding.
Right.
And, so as I was told, and I understand, like I said, somebody dies all the time. But nobody usually has this kind of celebrity on a regular basis. So, but
Yep.
it is what it is.
Absolutely. Well, hard to transition out of that, but let's
True.
do so. We'll step ahead and take a look back, if you will, at the weekend that was for Arizona State Sun Devil hockey in Clarkson, Potsdam, New York. Let's start off by how they got there, Paul. They chartered, which I thought was a brilliant idea. They left Thursday to get up there directly, as close as they could anyway, into a small airport and get the guys there. I understand there was a number of different trials and tribulations, and from trying to find hotel rooms for everybody on the way up there when they got there, and then they were planning on, I believe, leaving Saturday night to come home, and I think weather may have kept them there till Sunday. So I don't think the boys got back here till sometime around 5 o'clock local time on Sunday. But the games were what you would have expected. I think they were close. Both of them went to overtime.
Honestly,
and the Sun Devils played with a couple of guys that were injured. So we'll get into that in a minute. But your thoughts on the weekend?
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect this weekend. This past weekend, ASU has not had a lot of success against Clarkson. I believe it was 0-3 in the 3 games they had played before this past weekend. And, the team has been, I hate to use, really inconsistent's the only word that you can use. I mean, we said it last week, they've been playing to the level of their opponents, and they did that again this weekend. There are some key differences that I thought from that statement to this past weekend, but they played really, really well. And when you factor in some other things that we'll get into as we go through the 2 games, they played probably even better than anybody had a right to expect them to play this weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I didn't really know what to expect, except I did remember last week, if you can go back to last week's show when I commented about, I thought they reached a new gear. And indeed, I believe they have. I think they found themselves in a position now where they figure out ways to stay in games. When we talked with our Pitchfork Profile today, which is Willie Knierim, I asked Willie about that. I said, what's it like now? Do you guys actually get ready to play these teams and feel like you can play with them? And he said, yeah, we just don't feel like we're gonna lose. And that was the case on Saturday night. I mean, down 2-0 right away, right after the game starts, after losing a heartbreaker Friday night. And then you come back and you stay in the game all the way through and you win the thing in overtime. I mean,
and they had a goal disallowed too, by the way.
And they did have a goal disallowed, correct. So all things considered, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Well, this is where the impressiveness comes in. And when the weekend started, okay, first of all, this is what, week 8 or 9 of the straight of the 13 straight weekends.
It'll be 9 because there's only 4 left.
Well, okay, so this past weekend was week 9. Yep. So you've now played in 9 straight weekends. Okay. Your depth was tested and has been tested all season long since a couple of players were dropped from the roster. And then you go into this weekend at Clarkson, a top 10 pairwise team, a top 10 in the team in the polls, and you come out on Friday and you're not playing with Demetrius Koumantzis.
Right.
And you're not playing with Jacob Wilson.
Right.
Okay? So your depth is being tested even more. Okay? Was the game a little bit on the choppy? The game was a little bit choppy to start. ASU managed to kill off some penalties. Clarkson put on some pressure early, but ASU stayed in the game, as you said, which is kind of a trait of theirs, especially these last 2 years. Even if they're not playing well, they managed to get good enough goaltending and managed to do enough to stay in games. That was last year, too. There were some times where you looked and said, how are they in this game? How are they winning this game? But they did it. They have deserved the credit for that. They were playing against a goaltender. If you saw some of the saves that goalie made, Frank Marat made this with outstanding saves. There was one save he made over the weekend against Johnny Walker where the net was wide. It might as well have been an empty net. And
right.
somehow
I know the one you're talking about.
Somehow Marat managed to make the save on that. And you just mind-boggling saves. So anyway, they eventually get the game-tying goal. James Sanchez gets the goal, and you see this game going back and forth, and ASU is missing one of their key defensemen, and a guy with at least the potential to be a difference maker on offense, who had just kind of started rounding back into form. He was struggling earlier in the season, and it kind of started to find himself. Is he doing all of the things that we expected? I think he was, we'd like to see him score more, but he was starting to use his speed a little bit more. And they get the game to go into overtime. And, Clarkson gets the game-winning goal. Okay, great. You're sitting there and you're like, man, that's a game they could have had. They needed to get a split this weekend. And, how much pressure would have been off of them had they won that game Friday night. They could have went into the game Saturday playing with house money, but it didn't happen. Then they get into Saturday night. And by the way, they managed to survive some power plays too. They didn't. Yeah. It wasn't a parade to the penalty box. They did a good job staying out of the box, which you had to do against that team because their power play was tops in the country. And then they go into Saturday night and they fall down 2 quickly.
Yeah.
They fall down right away. And you're sitting there and you're like, all right, this is not good. They're down 1-0. They can't get the puck out of the zone. Clarkson keeps it in, and they end up going up 2-0. And now you're shaking your head, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a problem because you're down 2 goals against a guy that barely gives up 2 goals a game.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you watch, you see why this, because if you don't get screens, if you don't get traffics in front, you don't get deflections and pucks tipped, you're not beating this guy. And, ASU was getting some of those chances, but not enough. They would have some really good opportunities one-on-one, or they would have some good opportunities and get some good shots. But, he's showing why his goals against is 1.75.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally they get some traffic in front and they get that first goal of the game. PJ Morocco puts one in basically Marat didn't see the puck, so it had a chance to go in. Then they get what looks like to be the game-tying goal.
Right.
And it gets waved off for a high stick. Right. Now, listen. we don't get, when these games are not on traditional TV outlets, you don't get the replays.
Exactly.
Okay.
The only ones that get the replay are the guys in the building with the stripes on.
Right. And I totally understand that. Is it frustrating? Of course it is. Of course it is. But, hey, it is what it is.
Here's the new gear thing I'm talking about, though, Paul, because right there, that would have been option number 2 for this team to go, yeah, you know what? We were down 2-0. We had a goal disallowed.
Right.
It just isn't going to be our weekend.
Oh.
No. Brett Gruber decides to take it upon himself, go behind the net, come back out to the side, and rifle a shot that beats Murat. And all of a sudden, it's 2-2, and we're headed to overtime.
Well, before we get to the overtime, let's take one quick step back. As we go into Saturday night's game, no Steen Pashnik.
Yeah.
Okay. So now
no penalty on his injury, by the way.
We'll get to that in a second. No Kumatis, no Jacob Wilson again, and now no Steen Pashnik, who was kneed the night before. No penalty, no review after the game, etc., etc., etc. And when you see these things, and am I looking at maroon and gold colored glasses? Okay, but ASU gets called for these things all the time.
Yep, absolutely.
And it doesn't seem like they ever miss one of those. So, okay, fine. The game is really going up and down. It's a really helter-skelter game on Saturday night. And, it's you're wondering if ASU is going to score. And, they get the puck on the net. They get traffic in front. Brett Gruber's there. He makes the deflection, puts it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for the 4th game in a row, you're in a situation, win a period, win a game.
Yep.
Okay, they did it last week, 2 weekends ago against RIT at home. They were in that situation again on Friday, and Clarkson won the game. So here we are again, 3rd period, game 2, win a period, win a game. And this was this game was very entertaining. It was a really, really good game. And, once again, ASU gets some traffic in front. Okay. Brinson Pashnik shot, gets saved by Murat. But it was a great play by
Tyler Bush.
By Tyler Bush. Sorry, I was to fight through the check of the defender in that spot and bang home the replay. If you get a chance to see that goal, watch how he gets away from the guy trying to defend him in front of the net. And that's how you beat a goaltender like Murat. And then they come away with the 3-2 win. And the play got challenged for offsides. It was off a face-off.
Yeah.
Challenged for offside? What?
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point, you're just waiting for a shoe to drop and the referee to come out and wave it off. But fortunately for ASU, I don't know what Clarkson was challenging, but okay. Either way, ASU started the weekend 11th in the pairwise and stayed 11th in the pairwise. And that was a big weekend to get a split. I think asking for anything more than that would have been greedy. Would it have been nice? Sure, of course. But they overcame a lot of adversity with the roster. They overcame being down 2-0. And this is not one of those games where I thought where, you're sitting there, how are you guys coming out this way with everything on the line? They came to play from the first puck drop. And, even though they were down 2-0, it's, in the past, you could see where teams, especially being as shorthanded as they were, might give up. But that didn't happen here. A lot of credit to the players. A lot of credit to the coaching staff for coming through and not allowing the 2-0 deficit to take them out of their game.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So with that being said, let's jump into our 5-minute powers play, which today is the 5-minute PK with Mike Field. As Coach Powers under the weather today, running the temperature, a little fever, and at home, did not go to practice. And I'm also going to give a shout out right now before I get into Coach Field and his great conversation with us. But congratulations to Alex Six today. He became an American citizen during the day while practice was going on. Alex made the commitment to become an American citizen, and kudos to him, man. I mean, that shows a lot of heart, a lot of class in itself, and I'm really proud of him as well. And it just tells you the Sun Devil pride, the American pride, whatever you want to call it. It's all tied together in my book. So congratulations, Alex Six. Get well, Coach Powers. And as I said and kind of joked at the end of the conversation with Mike Field, I said, Coach Powers, you better get well, because Mike Field did a heck of a job today filling in for you. We went about 12 minutes, so I gave myself a 10-minute misconduct penalty in there for going a little long. But, I told Mike afterwards, I said, everybody's been asking me to visit with you because everybody wants to know about Mike Field. He is the associate head coach, but he's more than that. He's the connection to Dubuque. He was at AIC. There's so many different things that Mike Field does. He works with the defenseman. He works with the PK. He does so many different things for this program. And just to pick his brain for 12 minutes was so much fun. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation. So without further ado, let's take a quick break. Let's bring in Coach Mike Field, the associate head coach at Arizona State, and let him tell you a little bit about the weekend, what's coming ahead, and about his role and the Sun Devil hockey program. Be right back with the 5-minute PK. Let's call it that with Mike Field.
Welcome in, college hockey fans in the desert Southwest. It's not Coach Powers today, a little under the weather, but we got the next best thing, and associate head coach Mike Field with me. And Mike, welcome in.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Always great to visit, but even more fun to visit after a big weekend at Clarkson where you guys got a huge win on Saturday night. So let's start right there. Tell me what the weekend was like for you guys.
It was a challenge. A really good opponent, obviously a difficult place to play. They had a great atmosphere there with their alumni weekend, and I was really happy with being able to come out with at least one win, and especially after kind of a heartbreaking loss the night before, for the guys to come back with what we felt was an even better and kind of more determined effort was really rewarding.
All season long I've been asking Coach about this team, and he tells me that you haven't reached your full potential yet. A couple of weeks ago he told me he thought you were pretty close. Your thoughts on the potential of this team, and have they peaked yet?
Well, I hope they haven't peaked yet, because we're not into the games where we want them to peak, but I do like the direction that they're going. I think that every weekend we're seeing, a full and total buy-in from all the guys, and they've been getting rewarded for it. So it always, when you get that buy-in and you don't necessarily get rewarded as a player, that's when sometimes you waver a little bit, and you have to kind of push through that, and they've gotten through those stages, and now they're getting rewarded all the time because they're doing things the right way, and it's been good.
Last week I had a chance to visit with your freshman defensemen, the Twins, I guess, right? And they were both great, by the way, but tell me about their maturity. You see them an awful lot, but how has their maturity really helped this team this year?
Their maturity is definitely grown in their play. I don't know about their maturity with anything else, but no, those guys have done a really good job. They've done an excellent job of just kind of taking everything in from the older guys, and anything that we give them as coaches, they always listen, and just seeing what they're doing, the way they're handling their business, after practice. They're in there stretching, they're getting an extra protein shake, they're doing, all this stuff that long-term is going to pay off. And then on the ice, they're starting to see more and more success. And as that happens, their confidence grows. And, those guys are really good players, and they've done a really nice job.
Last weekend you also battled some injuries. You had 3 guys at least I know sitting out that had some minor things going on. But that time of the year right now, you guys are in the tail end of a 13 weeks in a row. Your thoughts on playing 13 straight weeks?
I think it is what it is. It's
the schedule is prepared.
Yeah,
you play it, right?
Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's 13 weeks straight or there's weekends off or whatever. Like you got a game in front of you and you got to win it, and that's really all you can focus on.
Okay, so the game in front of you this week is Robert Morris coming to town. When you look on paper, you see all these numbers that you look at in the pairwise, and you go, okay, you guys are 11, they're in the 40s or 50s or whatever. It really doesn't make a lot of difference in college hockey anymore, does it? The parity is so close.
No, it really doesn't make a difference. Any weekend, if you don't perform at your best, you're probably not going to win. And that's just the reality. And even when you do play your best, sometimes you're not going to win because the other team's doing their best as well. And if you go through, kind of the history with Robert Morris, every single year they knock off somebody that they quote unquote aren't supposed to beat. From my time at AIC, like I know how good those guys are and how hard they work, and their program has always been that way, where they're a really difficult team to play against and tough opponent.
Okay, so Robert Morris comes to town for your second to the last homestand. Then you go back across the country again to the East Coast. Are these East Coast trips getting easier for you guys?
I don't know if it's easier or harder or whatever. I think for the most part, it's just business as usual. It's always kind of been that way, and I guess maybe they get a little easier because the guys get into a routine and they kind of know what works for them, and we've had some success on these road trips. So I think that guys start to figure out, okay, this is how I like to go about my business when I do this, and go from there.
Okay, we usually call this the 5-minute powers play, but right now I told you before you came on camera that we're going to call it the 5-minute PK. So tell me a little bit about specialty teams, and particularly the penalty kill. You guys have been good for the last few years on the PK. What's the secret to that?
I don't know if it's a secret. It's obviously when you have good goaltending, your penalty kill is always going to be successful.
Starts there, right?
Yep, we've been really fortunate with having great goaltenders coming through, and those guys have done a great job of not just stopping pucks, but they've taken the time to understand what the PK is trying to do and where those shots are going to come from, and kind of just focusing on what their responsibilities are, and making those saves. And that's been kind of the key, is that it's more of a 5-man penalty kill instead of a 4-man penalty kill plus your goalie,
Right.
And that's where I think our goaltender's done an excellent job. And then that in turn has given our players a lot of confidence of, okay, I don't need to never let a shot come by. It's just the shots that they get are going to be from areas that we want, and our goalies have done a great job of giving them confidence by making those saves.
Last year you had 2 of the best in Dylan Holman and Anthony Croston, I thought. And not only leaders, but great penalty killers, a lot of hustle, a lot of heart. It took a little while, I thought, this year for some people to step up, but this year you got Dom Garcia, you got Steen Passion. I can go down the list of the guys that have stepped up. Have you seen a change from start to finish so far in the season?
Yeah, definitely. I think with anything, like we relied so heavily on Crow and Halsey because they were just so good at it, and we had other guys that, got reps and were doing it, but because Crow and Halsey, that was, their bread and butter, it was hard not to just keep putting them out there all the time, so I think us trying to figure out who's going to make up those minutes, and then those guys understanding, how important those minutes are to us and the difference between wins and losses and things like that. Guys have done a great job really making sure that they're dialed in every aspect of that. And, a guy like PJ kind of has emerged as a great penalty killer. Jordan Sandu, guys that really had never done it before. They've done an excellent job stepping up. And then guys that have done it, pretty much the whole time they're here, with Gruber and Bushy and Steen and Dom, like you mentioned, like all those guys, they're now kind of thrust into the forefront as primary penalty killers. Phil Buncis has done a good job when he's asked to be out there. So it's just kind of an all-around collective effort where those guys have realized that, okay, like I really need to be dialed into what we're doing and how we're doing it if we're going to be successful as a team and, as a penalty kill.
Okay, I think I have like 10 minutes worth of questions for you, but we'll wrap it up on a couple of things. Last weekend we saw a lot of upperclassmen, seniors step up. We saw Bushy score that goal in overtime. We saw Brett score a goal. We saw Brinson making a play like ours. That leadership is really starting to take hold right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Those guys are they're doing an unbelievable job of really, obviously you see it on the scoreboard and on the stat sheet on a weekend like last weekend, but what they've really done a great job of is just 100% buying into whatever they can do for the team to win is all they're focused on. So it's really rewarding for us as a coaching staff that those guys are getting the points because they're playing the right way and they're doing things so selflessly, whatever it is, just to win, and for them to get rewarded individually by some points is extra bonus.
Okay, final question for you is that I know everybody that knows you knows your connection to Dubuque, and I joke with the guys from Dubuque here. I go like, is there a direct flight now from Dubuque to Tempe, or what's going on here? But tell me a little bit about Dubuque and how that plays a role in Arizona State hockey, or is it just strictly coincidence, or what's the deal here?
I mean, it's nothing that's, I guess specific by design, but it's, it's like anything else. Obviously, I spent 3 years there. I've worked with basically, all the guys on that staff in some capacity in and around. It's just relationships. It's like any other business. You have relationships there, like we have relationships with other programs as well. But obviously, the familiarity with some of the guys, over the years, it's happened to work where either I know a player that, it ends up there and it just happened that way, or it's a relationship where they call and say, hey, this guy's pretty good or whatever, like you should have a look at him, here's what he does. And, I trust their feedback, because I know those guys and they know me.
Minor league hockey, you go from the AHL to the NHL, and the teams try to run their programs the same so that seamless transition. Mm-hmm. Is there anything similar to that going on with Dubuque? I mean, do they do stuff that you guys like, you having been there, or is it really, they're just developing players, and when they get here, they fit into the Sun Devil way?
I think they do some similarities. I think really more than anything, any successful organization, they have a team-first mentality, and Dubuque has been successful really every year since they've existed, and I think that's because they have that culture that's kind of built in there, and it just jives with us from that standpoint. So when you're recruiting players, obviously, guys that win usually understand that culture is a big part of that, and that's every level, whether it's the team that wins the Stanley Cup, guys that are maybe depth players or role players, those guys end up with big contracts other places because they're winners, and so it just kind of, that's how it works. If the team wins, then individual success kind of follows, and that's what we're looking for with some of these guys. We just know that they're going to have at least a little bit of that same type of background and mentality.
All right, we'll close it out. Coach Powers, get well. Mike stepped in and did a admirable job for you today, so your job might be in jeopardy, Coach. But as we look, I always throw up a magic number. I picked it out at the beginning of the year. I said, I think you guys need to win 24 games based on your schedule this year. If you look at it right now, it's 8 with 8 to go. Mm-hmm. I know you take it one game at a time, but it's achievable, isn't it? If you have 8 games to play, you can win them all. I guess, yes, it's achievable. I don't know if I'm counting anything ahead of time, but we'll try to win the next one and then do that again and keep repeating that. All right, the next one is Robert Morris right here at Oceanside. Coach Mike Field, thanks for stepping in with me, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
And welcome back in, hockey fans. Hope you enjoyed that visit with associate head hockey coach at the Arizona State University, Mike Field. A chance to visit. Love talking to Mike, not only because he's just so down to earth, but he tells you the way it is, and he is so experienced. I mean, the guy's been at AIC, the guy's been at Dubuque coaching junior hockey for 3 years. He does a fantastic job of recruiting. He does a fantastic job with the team itself, and all you need to do is go through the locker room a couple times, Paul, and ask the players if they like Mike Field. Oh my Lord, it's outstanding what they'll tell you. Your thoughts on Mike Field and our conversation?
Well, listen, I enjoyed it. It's nice to hear. We don't regularly get a chance to hear from the assistant coaches. And he was basically running the team today because the coach wasn't there, and Hicks was out becoming a citizen. Hey, come on, coach, what are you doing? You couldn't schedule your citizenship induction around practice? Come on.
Well, more importantly is I don't believe in the 5 years that I've known Coach Powers in this program that he's ever missed a day because of sickness. So that tells you, if he has, I haven't heard about it, but he's not well if he's if he had to miss a practice. So
yeah.
Let's get well, Coach Powers. Let's get back this weekend because Robert Morris is coming to town. You heard me talk with Mike Field about that. I said, we talk about the numbers beside everybody's team and the pairwise. You can throw them out the window. And he said the same thing. He said, just throw them out the window because they mean nothing. If you don't come 100% prepared and ready to play, anybody can beat anybody in NCAA college hockey on any night. He threw out a couple examples about when he was at AIC, it seemed that Robert Morris would always seem to come up with a way to upset somebody. So believe me, this hockey team, and I'm talking Arizona State, knows that Robert Morris is coming to town to try to do something, and they're going to make sure in their power that they give their best effort. Well,
let's put it this way. We know that over the next 6 games, ASU is going to be a heavy favorite. Okay? They're going to be a heavy favorite against Robert Morris, Bentley, Holy Cross, whatever Alaska team they haven't played yet.
Anchorage.
Anchorage. Okay, they're going to be heavy favorites against all 4
They're also going to be a heavy favorite against Wisconsin, by the way.
But Wisconsin is a different story. Let's push them. I don't want to push them aside, but that's.
I'm just saying, if you're looking on paper, they will be a heavy favorite with all.
We can look on paper too, because how many draft picks does Wisconsin have? So let's.
We can also look at their record, though, Paul.
I understand, but you have to get to Wisconsin first.
I get it. I hear you.
These next 6 games, you have been pushing this new gear. This is really going to be, well, if they have it, let's say it now, because it's easy to get up for the games when you're the underdog. You're playing playoff games this weekend against a team you should beat. Especially if you stay 5-on-5, this is a team you should beat. Defensively, the numbers are about the same between both teams, but offensively, there's a big difference. Robert Morris is in the bottom 10 teams in the country in offense. They don't have anybody that has double-digit goals. They have one guy that has 7. They have another guy that has 6. They have another couple of guys that have 5. This is a team that you are better than. And you have to take care of business at home on top of everything else. So this is a good time to show that new gear and come out, put them away, do it early, and don't let them stay in the game and think that they have a chance to win. Yes, you might be shorthanded again. You might not have Steen Pashnik.
You will be.
You might not have Jacob Wilson. You might not have Demetrius Kumanzis. But you are the better team. Go out on the ice. Take care of business. Okay? I really can't say it any other way.
Yep, I don't think you could have said it any better myself. Let's jump into our Pitchfork profile with the redshirt junior who took a roundabout way to get to Arizona State, but trust me, he could not be happier to be a Sun Devil, and Willie Knierim. This is take 2 for Willie Knierim because we took it once and got no sound that was quality to be used. So Willie was gracious enough to come in and sit down with me again today. We joked because we could have gone an hour. I kicked him out basically because we stopped at 14 minutes, but I said, Willie, and he goes, anytime you want to talk, I'm here. A couple things I'm going to tease about Willie before we jump into it is that you mentioned playoff hockey. He mentioned to me that the team feels like, in his words, they've been playing playoff hockey since December,
Well,
which I thought
good.
was kind of cool, because that means when we were watching them in Anaheim, they were playing playoff hockey, in his words. So I think he may have meant January, because, but he
Doesn't
said
matter.
December. Anyway,
Step it up. It's time
so
to.
they know what it's about. The other thing is that with Willie Knierim, we touched a little bit about the future with him, because he's one of the guys, him and James Sanchez, probably Johnny Walker, that are going to be counted on as seniors and leaders next year. And I said, how much are you thinking about that now, kind of in the back of your head, where you have to go, okay, last year we got to the NCAA tournament, we shocked the world. This year our captain came out on day one of media and said, I want to leave here as an NCAA champion. And everybody looked at him like, really? And I said, let's just say that you guys get into that national tournament again and you get to a Frozen Four. How are you going to come back next year as a leader? What are you going to do to continue this process? He looked at me and I told him, as you'll hear, I said, we ended it a little light, because I said that was pretty heavy questioning, but he's ready for that. He wants to do that. He wants to come back as a leader. He wants to see this program continue to build. He's not going to be happy until they're a perennial powerhouse in NCAA hockey.
Oh, God, I hope not. I mean, otherwise, why are you playing?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but you know as well as I do, there's a lot of guys that like to play college hockey, and they'll tell you that they want to do this. But there's other guys that you can see the fire in their eyes that they want to see this through. And Brinson Pasichnuk is another one. I mean, did Brinson really believe beginning of the year that they were going to be a national champion? I think he did, to be honest with you. I think he still does.
Why would you say or believe anything else?
Yeah, I know. But there's a lot of guys, and you know as well as I do, that look at it and they go like, we're going to do our best, but I'm not sure that we have the people around me to make this a national championship team. It's just, I mean, they're not idiots, right? They can see what the other teams look like. They face other teams. This team believes, and Willie will say that too, is that they played Denver very tough. They played Clarkson very tough. They didn't talk much about Minnesota State, but that was the first road trip of the year, basically. So I give them a little bit of a break on that. And Minnesota State is a juggernaut. They're a Cornell type. So, I mean, can they play with the top 4 or 5 teams in the country? I think they can.
Yeah, well, so far the couple they have, some weekends they have and some weekends they haven't. So.
Yeah, but for the most part, I mean, they knew going in that a split on the road was good and a sweep at home was good, and they failed a couple times in there, or they would have a better record than they have. But you can't scoff at 16-9-3 as they sit right now, and 8 games to go. That still gets them 24 wins.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the record when the season's over and all. There's more to it than that. But right now, Robert Morris is coming up. Let's just worry about that and take care of business.
Spoiling everything I say.
All
right, let's bring in Willie Knierim, and let's let Willie talk to us for a little bit. I promise you, folks, stick with it all the way through. It's 14 minutes. Great stuff from the red shirt from Skokie, Illinois. Willie Knierim, the Pitchfork Profile.
All right, folks, I've been telling you, we had the big guy in. We had a great interview about a month ago. I've done everything I can to try to get the sound to work. The sound just would not come through. You deserve much better than that. So thank you for jumping in, Willie Knierim, and redoing this with me.
Well, thanks for having me, Scott.
Okay, where do we start, right? What a huge weekend at Clarkson. You played a huge role. Your role gets bigger and bigger, I think, every weekend. But tell me about this weekend at Clarkson and what it meant for your program.
Yeah, obviously a very good team, and Clarkson's very, very tough, hard, heavy team. And, for us to go in there and steal one from them, obviously we wanted to, but that's huge for us. So not even just for the rankings, the pairwise or anything like that, but just for the guys in the locker room, you know, for us to compete with teams like Denver and Clarkson and top 10 teams like that. You know, it really gives us reassurance that what we can do down the stretch. And, you know, obviously Friday night's game was pretty heartbreaking. You know, I think Power said it right after the game on Friday. They just made one more play than us. And for us to get that win on Saturday with Bushy's huge goal, I mean, that's, you know, big-time players like him and our captain make big-time plays. So I think that was really huge.
Okay, so we talked earlier a little bit about this whole thing, how you got here and all this stuff. So we'll touch on that again so everybody understands it. But before I get to that point, I want to talk a little bit about just ASU hockey and what it means, because your leaders have been here. I know Coach Powers has told me from the beginning that you guys haven't reached your full potential yet. I don't think he wants you to until you get to the NCAA tournament, which is right around the corner. So how do you take it one day at a time and continue to get better?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said it. You know, you have to take it one day at a time. You have to get better each and every day, and you got to come in with the mentality at, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning and then leave at 12 and ask yourself, did I just get a little bit better? Did I get 1% better today? If you can say yes, then your job's done. You know, I think that for our team, it's not going to be X's and O's or anything. We're a pretty determined team, pretty resilient team. I mean, we've went down 3 goals, 2 goals to very good teams and a lot lately, and we want to stop doing that, obviously. But you know, just it's good to know that there's a never say die attitude in our locker room. So.
Well, I don't think there's anything more evident than Saturday night. I mean, you came off that heartbreaking loss, like you said, Friday, and then you get down a couple of goals, and you could have packed it in, basically said, yeah, okay, it's not our night. But that wasn't the mentality of this team, and it hasn't been, has it? No,
not at all. I mean, you know, Saturday night when we went down 2, you know, obviously the initial shock is, you know, all right, like, well, we got to battle back now. But, you know, within a split seconds, guys were just battling down in the corners at the Blues, everything you want. So, I mean, for the guys that had that response, I mean, we put so much pressure on them, and you know, we kept up with them shot for shot that game and everything. And you know, I know they outshot us the first game, but I thought we really took it to them the second game, and obviously it showed. So.
Okay, so let's get back to the start. We talked about Illinois. We talked about growing up playing hockey in Illinois and then transitioning down here. So tell me about that start, because I joked with you a little bit. I told some fans, I said, Willie told me how he got started skating. Tell us how you got started skating.
Yeah, my sister figure skated at the local rink, so I just wanted to figure skate like my sister. You know,
sure.
I was just older, someone I looked up to, obviously. And I figure skated for 3 years, I think, from like 2 to 5.
Right.
And funny enough, my teacher pulled my parents aside and said, "You guys got to get him in hockey. All he wants to do is go fast." And which is pretty ironic because I'm not a fast skater. So, but yeah, then I got into hockey. Took like a hockey class once, and it was go time from there. I absolutely fell in love with it, and my dad put me in hockey, and he was one of my first coaches, and it was a pretty cool experience for that. And but then I just kind of took off from there. So.
Okay, so tell me about the whole thing, how you end up at Arizona State as a redshirt junior. You're going to get 2 years, I think, with us here, which we're all thankful for. But how did it all transpire? How did you get here?
Yeah, I think a very, very windy road. Took a few pit stops, but I finally made it. You know, I think kind of growing up through Chicago area, obviously ASU hockey wasn't D1 ASU hockey wasn't around at that time. So my coach in AAA, one of them at least, Chris Michaels, he went to Miami, Ohio, okay. And he kind of put that in my head at a very, I guess, not early age, but probably around like 13, 14. Then ended up committing there, and then going to Dubuque, played 2 years at Dubuque, and then 2 years at Miami, and you know, it didn't work out at Miami. And then had to take that step back to go back to juniors, and luckily enough, I was with James Sanchez, JD Greenway, Semick, and a lot of other good players and everything. So I think the year last year was really huge for me, really getting my game back, my confidence, just working on my craft and everything and what I do best. And it was able to get me here and in the position that I'm in here with ASU and hopefully help them win a championship. So help us win a championship.
When I talked to Coach Powers when he first started this program, I sat in his office before you were D1. You're just going D1. And I said, how are you going to survive at D1 in year one? And he said, I'm going to need to be old, big, and strong. And he told me what he's been doing is transitioning, but he always likes to pick up guys like yourself and James who have been around for a little while, have some experience, and can jump right into a team. And I don't think two guys have fit in more seamlessly than you and James this year. So what is that? I mean, there's more than just showing up here, right?
Yeah, I think I think we owe that to the guys around us in the coaching staff and all the people that kind of make this thing work. The coaching staff from day one, since I talked to them in the recruiting process, they stressed character and just kind of stuff behind the scenes. Really,
Yeah.
They recruit good players but good people as well. So, and I can attest to that. So our locker room's really close, and coming in, obviously a junior, but I feel like a freshman coming to the West Coast to play hockey, which was crazy. I got here in July when it was 115 degrees, which I had to step on the ice, and I get off and I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops and I'm still sweating. So, but no, like I said before, I think what really helped me and James kind of step in and the other freshmen as well. I mean, Semick and Judson on the back end are doing great. I think what's really helped us is our leadership and everyone around us kind of accepting us and not making us go through that new guy period and stuff like that. So, everyone was so accepting and showed us around and showed us the ropes and everything. And I'm so grateful for that. So.
Okay, so Coach Powers is sick today, if anybody doesn't know, so he wasn't on the ice, and I brought Coach Field in for my 5-minute Powers play. I had to change it, though. I had to call it the 5-minute PK with Coach Field. But when I brought him in, I asked him, I said, what's the deal with Dubuque and ASU? Is there a direct flight right now? And on the serious end of it, does Dubuque run their program similar to ASU, or does ASU run their program similar to Dubuque? Are they close?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're really close. I think Dubuque, obviously I'm a little biased, but I think it's a top-notch organization. So I think a couple of years ago it got rated #1 junior club in the nation, which is incredible. But it's not surprising. I think that you asked about similarities between the two teams here, and like I said before, I think that Dubuque and ASU recruit good players, but they recruit good people too. Hockey, you're at the hockey rink for 3, maybe 4 hours a day, and the rest you're either with your team, meeting with your coaches around the community and everything. So if you're not a good person around the other 20 hours of the day, it's going to cause problems. So I think what Dubuque and ASU does is really special, and I think both teams are going to have a lot of success for a very long time. So.
Okay, so we're down to 8 games left in the regular season of your junior year, your first year at ASU. Yeah. They went to the national tournament last year. I know that was like 30-plus years of an independent making a tournament. I set you guys up on a magic number. I said, I think you need 24 wins to get in. I thought if you achieve that, there'd be a no-brainer. They'd have to take you. That magic number is 8. There's 8 games to go. How likely or how important is it? I know you want to win every game, and I don't want to take them one at a time, so I don't want to put you ahead of the cart here, but tell me a little bit about what it's going to take to win 8 straight games.
Yeah, I think, we're going to have to take it game by game and even more specific day by day. If we don't do our jobs throughout the week, we're not going to play well on Friday night or Saturday night. So I think we just got to kind of sit back and just kind of take it one step at a time. So, we've been playing playoff hockey since I would say December. Every single other team can rely on winning a conference tournament and making the national tournament, and we don't have that luxury. So we have to play every game like it's going to be our last, and hopefully we get that bid at the end of the year. So.
Okay, so let's wrap things up by talking about that, because last year you did make it to the national tournament. This year you want to get there. Next year you're going to have a senior season too, and I really don't want to get way ahead of this, but you're going to be one of the guys that they're going to rely on next year as a senior on this program. I know in your locker room you've got a board, right? You cross stuff off, first win, first this, first that. One of the big things, and Brinson Pasnick brought it up at the beginning of the year, he said, I want to win a national championship before I leave. That's this year. Yeah. So what do you do not only this year, the rest of the year, but next year to continue this tradition and this drive towards the top?
Yeah, I think Brinson's a very good example. I think, all of our seniors are, those guys came here, maybe when ASU wasn't as appealing as a hockey program 4 years ago, but, for us to try and win a national championship for them would be so special, I think. And, for those guys who built this program, like they jumped over and they made this program what it is today. Like for me, guys like me, Sanchez, and, every other person who kind of goes through this process to step in today and being on a good hockey team. So for us if we could win a national championship this year for them, that'd be truly special. So. All
right, I laid it on pretty heavy on you, so we got to end with something light here. So let's talk about where we're at. We're in, I call this beautiful Studio 3 at Oceanside Ice Arena. But tell me your thoughts on Oceanside. I know the guys love it here, right? I mean, it's not the greatest arena. I know you're getting a new arena down the road, but it's your home, and you guys love it, don't you?
Yeah, we absolutely love it. So we know how to play here, and teams have to travel halfway across the country to come in here and play at a rink like this, and I think it's gorgeous. I think it's truly, it truly it sits in with our DNA as a team. Just very, very rough and heavy, and I love it. So I was talking to, I think, one of the coaches at the beginning of the year, like I don't want the new rink to be built next year. I want to say that I played here,
right.
And this is I know that sounds kind of weird and everything, but
you're not alone though. I've heard it from everybody.
So, but yeah, I mean, this is our home. This is our home rink, and obviously we spend many hours a day here, and we absolutely love it. So.
All right. I know there's a geography lesson out there too, because everybody that comes in, the first thing I hear from the opposing team is like, there's no ocean here. It's Oceanside because we're next to the water park. But do you have to give people a geography lesson on where Tempe, Arizona is?
No, I don't have to give any geography lesson on where Tempe, Arizona is. So I think everybody knows, and if we do what we want to do this year, they'll have no problem figuring out what it is.
Willie Knierim, thanks for the time again. I appreciate it. This was totally worth it, because I think we could visit for an hour and just talk hockey, but thanks for stepping in.
Behind the Mask Hockey Shop, celebrating 25 years of exceptional service to the Arizona hockey community, offering the top brands and an educated staff of hockey players to help you choose the right gear for you. Visit any one of our 3 Valley locations or check us out online at behindthemask.com.
All right, Paul Hornstein, we're back. Had a chance to visit with the big fella, Willie Knierim, the Skokie, Illinois native. As I said, this is take 2, because Willie and I sat down about a month ago, did a great interview. I joked with him because I said, everybody's yelling at me because they want to hear this interview and they want to know how you got started playing hockey. And he kind of chuckled and said, okay, I'll say it again. Willie learned to skate as a youngster, 2 to 5 year old range, as a figure skater. And he said, it's kind of ironic that when he went to hockey, the figure skating coach went to his parents and said, all he wants to do is go fast, put him in hockey. And Willie says, now everybody tells me, can you go a little faster?
Yeah, well, can't go fast enough, right?
It's all relative.
It's all relative,
speed. Right?
Yeah. So.
Anyway, your thoughts on Willie Knierim and our visit today?
Well, listen, I love hearing from the players. I like hearing some of the backstories. Obviously geography makes it a little harder for me. I've met the coach a bunch of times in different situations, so that's a little bit different. We don't, at least a couple times that I've been out there. We generally don't get a lot of chances to have one-on-one conversations with the players. And so I like hearing some of those stories. I like hearing the off-ice stuff more than I like hearing the on-ice stuff. And
we can see the on-ice stuff.
I don't need them for that. Yeah, so that's the way it is. And hopefully, like you said, they realize they're in a playoff push, and they are. And they come out Friday and Saturday night, take care of business, and go from there.
I agree. Well, Robert Morris comes to town. It's another Friday, Saturday. I can't tell you as many times as I said I can't wait for Fridays and Saturdays to be back, because that is college hockey in my book. I think that is college hockey for the players. Revert back to Willie just a little bit. We talked a little bit about him coming and laying it all out from 9 a.m. till noon every day. And then he said, we have to be good people and do the right thing the other 20 hours of the day, because we're not on the ice. And that's the life of a college hockey player and student, right? You got to go to class. You got to interact with other people. You got to do stuff. And then you get these few hours a week where you can actually be doing what you really love to do. So kudos to him for realizing that. And I think we're going to see the best of Willie Knierim from here to the end of the season. I also think we're going to see the best of Willie Knierim next year. I think he is going to be a force. I think he's more comfortable now. I think he realizes what this program is. I think he bleeds maroon and gold. And I'm looking forward to that. The one other thing I want to say about this weekend, and I'm going to say it now so it's down on tape if we can. Johnny Walker is going to come to life this weekend. And here's why. Johnny Walker has had a huge bullseye on his back from the start of the season. Everywhere you go, if you know nothing more about ASU hockey, you know the guy named Johnny Walker, because he's tied for 8th along with James Sanchez in the country in points. He was a Hobie Baker candidate. He led the country in goals last year. Johnny Walker is a name, and every team knows. There's only one team that I've seen this year that didn't know he was on the ice, the Denver Pioneers. And their coach let them know a couple of times, and guess what Johnny did? He scored a couple of times against the Pioneers on that Friday night game.
Wow.
Look for Johnny Walker to make a big push starting this weekend against Robert Morris, and then at Bentley, and then that weekend out there, and then when they come back against Anchorage. I would not be shocked, Paul, if he scores a dozen goals in the last 8 games.
Just win. That's all that matters. Just win.
I know, but I'm just telling you, that will help you win. If Johnny Walker scores a dozen goals in the last 8 games, that'll help you win.
Listen.
All right. I'm putting it out there because you know what I like to do. I like to put the magic number out there too. It's 8.
One.
So we'll keep it out there. I got a kick out of Mike Field when I told him that. I said, is it possible? And he goes, well, of course it is. If there's 8 games, 8 teams left, and you need 8 wins, it's possible.
Sure. So
yeah, we'll see where it leads. All right. So that wraps up this episode of College Hockey Southwest Weekly. Paul, you got something new coming down the pike that everybody's going to be thrilled to hear. So you give the read first. Talk a little bit about our sponsors, and then we're going to insert some new voices down the road.
Yeah, we're trying to insert some new voices. Just remember the sponsors this week. You heard, we've mentioned them before, but we got Sprint, we have College Bar, Behind the Mask, OxyPow, M-Drive, the Ice Den Scottsdale, and they have a location in Chandler too. We're going to try to get a little fancier with the production here as we go, get some voices in here, just so you get not tired of listening to us. And
nobody gets tired of that.
Well, maybe not you anyway, but. So.
And let me tell you, this is a great time for me to bring it up that we're doing a 4-month rush, the playoff push, we're calling it, where you can get a chance to get your business out there, not only with the NCAA coverage that we provide, but also ACHA, AHL, and NHL, all the way through the end of their playoff season to try us out, see what we can do for your business, see if we can bring you some more customers, see if we can talk hockey to your fans, and get them thinking about your business. So, terrific offer. Give me a text message or give me an email at ithswsales@gmail.com. Go to the website. Oh, yeah, shout out to our executive producer who is now back. And he's come back and brought us a new website as well. So get out, check out the
check
new
that
website.
out too. Yeah.
It's great mobile. It's great. Shout out to Paul Hornstein for giving us the first blog last weekend. That was enjoyable. So we'll have more of that. Yeah. Paul is much more of a writer than I am these days because I just don't have the time to write, and when I'm doing video stuff and everything. So I put a lot of emphasis on Paul's writing, and he puts a lot of good stuff out there for us. So
I'm trying.
Get out there, take a look at the website. If I have to give it to you again, it's icetimehockeysw.com.
There you go.
And you can find us on social media at icetimesw. If you get really bored and you want to see some funny stuff, go to TikTok, the new social media, and check that out. I got a little video of the guys today on the ice. I tried to find something fun on that. It's only 15 seconds of a video, but if you can find somebody doing something crazy like Johnny Walker doing his little pregame puck stuff or whatever you can, it's kind of a fun medium to put it out there. And a lot of kids using it, so I thought, why not give it a shot, give it a try.
Yeah, that would explain why I don't even know what it was until you told me last week, so we're good.
Yeah, you kept asking me about why there was a clock in the background. I'm like, Paul.
Yeah, I'm old.
All right, another final shout out to Relive the Miracle as well. We're getting very close to 40-year reunion of the gold medal hockey team. Happens on the same weekend, unfortunately, as ASU and Wisconsin will play. But Relive the Miracle in Vegas, Thomas and Mack Center, February 22nd, 2020.
ReliveTheMiracle2020.com. And I just saw today where Micah Ruzioni has put out a book. He's come out with a book, and I think it came out today. It did. I think it came out today, on Tuesday, the 28th, as we talk. So I know that I know I'm going to get myself a copy, and look forward to reading.
Want to get it signed, Paul. That's what my goal is.
One step at a time. I got to get the book first. So, all right.
All right, folks. Have a great evening. Tune in again next week for another edition of College Hockey Southwest Weekly. Get it on your podcast. Get it on YouTube. Check us out. If you don't want to look at us, at least listen to us. We're a lot of fun. We enjoy talking college hockey with you and the Desert Southwest. Paul Hornstein, have a great evening. Have a great week.
Good night.
Let's talk about 2 more wins next week.
Here's hoping.
Hey, Michael here from M-Drive. My dad, a world-class scientist, actually made M-Drive for himself to stay active and continue enjoying life. And yes, M-Drive supports healthy testosterone, but it's so much more. M-Drive is the everyday supplement to fuel your drive with more energy and more strength. Listen, we'd love for you to try M-Drive too. Visit mdriveformen.com and we'll give you 20% off your first purchase. Just type in the code DRIVE at checkout. Refine your prime with M-Drive.